Hello, this is Black Country Blokes chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the moms, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
And I've been, yeah. This is the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat with me, Kev Dillon and Lee Campbell. And yes, here we are back in the studio. Now wonderful it feels. Now this is our 101 episode. Now, who'd have thought it? You know, I mean, we didn't even realise it was the 100th episode until last week, and that's halfway through the show.
That's right.
And it's some of the topics we've covered over these 100-odd episodes, you know, from me and Lee, our second ever episode, two sides of the same coin. And maybe that didn't get enough airtime as it should have because we're very new to it. And maybe it was a poignant topic, but maybe it wasn't a grab you by the parts topic. But what it actually was two sides of the same coin. Me having a disability and Lee having a child with a disability. So it was people going through the same struggle, but from different angles. And over the next few weeks, we're gonna redo it and see what you think. As you say, when we first started, we were absolute novices. And that's our second episode, two sides of the same coin. And through the last 100 episodes, we've had some, beg my pardon, we've had some great guests on, haven't we? From Andy Plant was one of our first, talking about really hard subjects, to Andrew Price, two-time national champion, coming from the travelling community. Who was some of our, Dan Browning from Tough Enough to Care was one of our first downstairs. Ben Taylor from R&L Barbers. And these were like Ashley Nixon. Some of them, even before we had video, weren't they, bruv?
Yeah. I don't know. Did we do? I think we had video at that point. I can't remember now.
Dan Browning was on video. Pricey
yeah.
was on video. But the others were downstairs. Like we started off in the room where we now do our support groups, all huddled together like this, all talking and
yeah, come a long way. Back in the studio.
Yeah.
But I mean, the topic of this conversation is what makes a good conversation, and I think it's whether we feel like we've improved within our conversation from doing this. I think that's it's the conversation is key to everything that we're doing and everything that we're trying to portray. We're asking people to talk, we're asking people to let go of their fears and open up, and it's a big part of it. And I feel myself that I've definitely opened up more. It's got a lot easier coming on here. It's got a lot easier since the support groups as well, to be quite honest. To see what people go through and struggle and are brave enough to come out and talk about that, it's something to witness, isn't it?
And it's funny, like, because both things aren't necessarily natural, are they? What we've done, like sitting here and openly talking to our people from all around the world about panic attacks and some of the things you've kept close to your chest all your life. And often, like me and you've known each other bloody 25 years. And it wasn't until the last 3 years, 4 years, that we've started expressing it.
Yeah.
And then since we've been doing this coming up to 2 years, and now no matter what it is, you can literally go and talk to each other.
That's right. But that takes a lot to. I'm probably the worst. You know me many years, and you Kev, we've been through it. Like I was the quiet one all the time, wasn't I? So to come on here and do stuff like this is, I still sometimes, am I really doing this? Am I really going to go out there and put all this out in the open? You know, but we've all got to do it. We've all got to do it to lower that suicide rate within men, because it's out of control and it's getting worse. So we've all got to open up. And if it means me coming on here every week and doing that and fighting the fear not to do it. I mean, I remember when you asked me to do it and I was all up for it. I'll come and do it. And I was on the drive up here, I thought, bloody hell are you doing? you don't even like it, like talking to people. You don't, it's not something you do. What the hell am I doing? But here we are, 101 episode this is, so it's all good.
Have you felt in the real world though? Because it's like, oh, you're Lee from Black Country Blokes, and then people you never dream of it, just randomly open up about something. They go like, I've never really talked about this, but then they hit you with like a good straight right down the button.
You know what? It's absolutely crazy the amount of people who've opened up more to me now, and the amount of the texts I sometimes get after shows, and you know, we have a few comments coming in all the time on these shows, but some people are still won't comment, even though they've probably got something really good to add to the conversation because of their fears, and I understand that. But they will text me after the show and say, I really related to that. And there is one person actually who did it after Kieran's episode. When he was talking about his the way he builds things up in his head, and before you know it, a little paper cup's turned him to a hospital visit, thinking he's dying. And the person, I won't mention it because they didn't comment on the show, and it's unfair of me to do it. But it really surprised me that he texted me and said how much he could relate to that conversation, and how much it had helped him.
And in the fun, like even in a support group, I've had people who've gone to mainstream therapists, and I believe in it, so I'm not knocking the therapy at all. But they've said, like, some of the stuff from average day Joes and how you're talking about it, you're not men in suits, you're not there trying to analyse me, and you'll say something, and 3 or 4 or 2 or 1 person in the group will go, heck, you too. I've never heard anyone in the real world say about that. So from doing this to our support groups to having a chat in the pub or in the gym or in the supermarket, it's great because these conversations, we're so frightened about what the other person's going to say. And when you're allowing these people to go, blooming heck, you're not going to judge me. You're not going to laugh at me. You're not going to bully me. And then when you say, not only that's all right, but you go, I've had a taste of that. You can see it's like they've taken a 50-kilogram weight off the back and gone, thank God, that's over and done with now.
Yeah, that's it. But what advice would you give anyone then to have a better conversation with someone?
I think conversation.
Because we can't shut you up most of the time, Kev. I think that's half the problem there, isn't it?
Conversation, when you're being intimate, needs loyalty, needs that kind of, because when you are being so intimate, and I talk to a lot of people, and because experience is a big thing, and sometimes if with a partner or with an old pal, and you've said something and they've used it against you, then it's heartbreaking. And like with every experience, you end up building walls. So I think you've got to find rapport and loyalty with people before it, but don't let a past experience necessarily stop you from doing something else. But I know that's easier said than done, because I've had it before, and you've confided in people and you've loved people and never rubbed it in your face. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Because it has happened, be more wary, but don't let it stop you from trying it again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think you've also got to kind of get used to, within life, you've got to kind of get used to that rejection and that hit, and still keep going forward. You know, if we all stopped at, I know it's a bit more awkward because you're talking about some vulnerability, so it's a bit more harder to do. It's harder to open up. But if it doesn't work the first time, doesn't mean it's not going to work the next time. You know, you choose a different person to talk to, a different place, and you know, you can't try not to let that one experience put you off.
I think I was talking to someone the other day, and he was saying about that exact same scenario when he trusted someone and they'd broken his heart. And that always reminds me of that good old saying, it's easier to forgive an enemy than it is to forgive a friend. Because one you don't like anyway is an enemy. So anything he does, you expect. When someone you love betrays you, it hurts you twice as much. But don't let that put you off love. Like, we've all had our heart broken, but we've got to keep trying, because, you know, the end result could be something that could change your life. And that's like suffering with silence. What's that old saying? Suffering in silence is a perpetrator's best friend, or suffering in silence, misery loves misery. Mm-hmm. So we've got to try and find ways to step away from the misery, be it by talking, exercising, socializing, groups, therapy, whatever it is, medication. You've got to find your medicine. And through the last 100 episodes, that saying has stayed with us the whole way. You've got to find your medicine, and don't let other people force the medicine down your throat, because you'll know when it's right. But don't let the bad experience put you off everything altogether.
Actually, Charlene, we're getting loads of comments today. Thank you everyone for commenting in. I will try and put them all up, but I'm trying to listen to Kev at the same time. So, Kev, if it doesn't look like I'm listening to you, you know
I'm
why.
not.
Nothing new. It's Kev drowning on again. No, but Charlene put, I think the biggest worry is that you will burden someone else. I think that's a very important point to make. And I think you've said it a million one times, haven't you, Kev? You prefer to someone burden themselves and you end up going to their funeral. But you say it a lot better, so I'll let you go.
Well, it's right, you know, when we say, and this is, I hear this so often, and this is with good old pals and family, and they go, but Kev, I just didn't want to bother you. I didn't want to be a burden. And we've all got that. If we're blessed enough to have that person, like I've got Lee, he's got me, and I've got Aaron and Craig and my brothers and sisters from the club and the Dillon family and whoever it is, if you've got that one person, because I'd rather have one good person than 1,000 fake people. If you've got that one person you can rely on, cling on to them. That's love. That is the purest form of love. When you've got someone and you can rely on them. And the beauty of when they struggle, they can rely on you because it's a two-way thing. So be there for one another. Because I hear it all the time, I don't want to be a burden. And as Lee butchered my saying, I would rather you burden me by interrupting my dinner time with my wife and daughter than devastate me by hearing that you completed suicide or you had a breakdown or you struggling. So we have got to not push people down, but pull each other up. It's our human obligation to help. And you'll know your friend, you know, like Aaron prefers a text message. I prefer a phone call. So I'm doing these guys' heads in 24/7, phoning them, you know what I mean? But you've got to know what suits your people. It's not a bother to love. It's not a bother to care. So accept that love and that caring back.
It's just not a burden, is it? I think
No.
full stop. It's just not a burden to interact with conversation, whether it's good or bad. And we've said it many times before. The person who's talking to that person and trying to manage them through, you don't actually have to say anything a lot of the time. You just have to be there to listen. I think that's really important. The art of listening.
Well, that's it. We've always say, because Craig originally said it, one thing to hear it is another thing to listen to it. Because how many times in passive conversation, trying to get my word across, sometimes even like a natural chatterbox like me, sometimes just lean back, soak it in, let them talk. And sometimes, as Lee says, saying nothing is as good as saying something. You know your people.
It's funny you mentioned Craig, because I was on the phone to Craig the other day, and he hasn't been on the podcast. He hasn't left anything like that. It's just he's going through a tough time himself. And I've got to be honest, I was a bit like, I want to phone Craig, but I really don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to him. We won't go into what's happening because that's his story, and I don't want to, I don't want to put him out of place. But I didn't know what to say to him, and I kind of put the phone call off for a while just because of that. I thought, what am I going to say? How can I, say anything that's going to make this better? In the end, I called him, and it turned out I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to say anything at all. He appreciated the call and that was there for him. And as we know, Craig can talk anyway, so he took my ear off.
Yeah.
But he thanked me after because it helped just being there on that side of it.
And sometimes, like when you, this isn't with Craig, but in general, when you've had a bereavement or you've had something, your natural action is, how you feeling? That person's going, well, I feel shit. I feel, but then you go, I know you feel shit. Is there anything I can do for you? Is there, do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to?
Sometimes, sorry, Kev, I sometimes feel like they're empty words. I've been in that situation many a times where the little one's been in hospital and someone, obviously, everyone always, how you doing? Yeah. And as you say, it's always shit. You ask it because it gets the conversation going. Is there anything I can do for you? And it always it feels like a fallback sentence more than I really want to do something for you, because you kind of know the answer to the question as well. There's not many people. Yeah, actually, what you can do is take my daughter out of hospital here and make her well, because it ain't going to happen.
Or even then say, like, I'm going to the gym. Do you want to come? I'll come and pick you up. Or can I pop around for a coffee?
If you invite me to the gym and pick me up, Kev, I'm going to be scared.
He's trying to
finish me.
but you know your people. But I think the important thing is, as Lee says, sometimes we feel like it's a throwaway comment, but sometimes a message, a phone call, a voice note, whatever it is, just to remind people that you're not forgotten.
That's it.
Because sometimes, like when there's, I've known people and their siblings died or their child's died or something's happened, and as you said, I go, well, I want to thank you, but I don't know what to say. But you go from 10 close friends and then they all fade away. And then loneliness is mental health's best friend. No matter what you're going through, be it suicidal, depression, anxiety, when you're alone and you're sat to dwell. So the odd message just to go, you know what I am. If you do want to rattle, I'm here. And then try and back it up a little bit. But actions where words are. But just remind people that you are there. And I'm not saying, on their Facebook, hi, champ, hi. Private message them. So we're not trying to get the attention. Private message them, or whichever way you do it on the private. So you're not doing it for, hey guys, I'm trying to help. Personally message them. Then you're doing it for the right reasons.
I've never understood that side of things. Anyway. I don't think I understand social media. But people who post on social media, it's that they're struggling and stuff like that. I never really understood that. Now, some people, that's the way they express it themselves, I suppose. But it blows my mind. I think I'm very much like you, private message and whatever else. Or we'll do it on a podcast.
Or we'll do it
I suppose it's only different
all
when
around
you
the
think
world.
about it, yeah.
But at least we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's like if my wife said, I'm having an affair, I wouldn't go, oh, Facebook. My wife's having an affair with a bin man. Hey, but different stroke for different folks. Some people are doing it for a pat on the back. Some people, hey, do I look fat? Of course you look fat, Kev. You are fat. but, some people are doing it. Hey, babe, no, you don't look fat. You look gorgeous. But you've got to sieve through the manure to realise some are real. Some people, that is their way of getting attention.
You know what though? I was listening to another podcast today. Not the Black Country Votes. I know, yeah, it's terrible. Isn't it? It's terrible. It's bad enough being a part of them, let alone listen to them. I'll get you on the phone call 5 times a day. I don't need to listen to them again. But yeah, it was Elon Musk actually, and he stopped all social media, and it's made him a lot happier. And I think everyone can learn from that. Actually, having breaks from it and stopping it is a really good thing to do.
As we said on some of the earlier episodes when we've had hitting a therapist on and saying, but we get that endorphins. Normally in the real world, oh, you're looking good, champ, or you've done exercise, or you've done something, and boom, what a bit of endorphin. Whereas nowadays with social media, it's like, oh, and you have that little shudder. I'm doing good. So it is addictive. When we've said this is like from Las Vegas and all these clever club people around the world have found a formula so we can have that dopamine, that euphoria by having a like, or so be aware, but we live in a plastic world. Yeah. And sometimes it's easier to go, here I am, I feel pretty. Oh, you look pretty, to actually going and doing something to do something really.
Sorry, I just want to go back to something we were talking about earlier. Steve Hansels sent in.
Steve.
I hate the question, how are you? Are they really ready for me to open up and tell people what's going on my head? It's hard to judge when it's being said in passing or with care. And that's what I was saying. That's basically what I was saying. I feel like it is a throwaway comment, and I think maybe we need to change that language. Because again, most of the time, if you're phoning up and asking that question, you already know the answer to it. You already know. You start with hi and go into a conversation. If you know something's wrong, you ask how are you, and it is very much a throwaway comment. I think that needs to go and something put in its place. I'll leave that to you though, Kev.
But a lot of the English language is like that though, isn't it? How are you, mate? Sound? Or safe? We've got all these different words around the UK. I've been, yeah. Well, hi, mate. Hello, duck. And all the same, but you never go. And we've said this a million times. My wife's left me, and my kids ill. The MRI just come back. It's not looking good. We don't do that. I think the gesture in itself is trying to be good. but through language and everything's a throwaway comment, and it is that, how are you? I'm all right. We don't have that follow question.
It's too easy to answer as well, isn't it?
And it's either I'm all well tough enough to care. Our brothers are tough enough to care. They always say, ask the second question. I'm all right. No, really, how are you? Or are you sure? Because we brush it off like water off a duck's back.
But I was on a day course about that as well, and again, not going into too much detail, but there's someone else on that course who had a daughter who had mental health issues, and one of the worst things for her was that how are you, and asking it again, because it was like she didn't believe what she was saying. Oh, I'm fine. You sure? It was like, oh, she don't believe me. She don't believe that I'm fine.
The thing is with mental health, we all wear masks, and I'm not on about, what these masks we've had to wear over the last 12 months. We've all got our masks on. But if you suffer with mental health, we wear one of these, but an invisible one, because we don't want anyone to see the real us. And the people who I know have completed suicide over my years, a lot of them have been Jack the Lads. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know anything was happening. That person who was always, oh, what was me on and everywhere on Facebook and everything, I'm having a bad day, I'm having a bad day. You keep your eye on them. But most of us who have had our problems wear a mask because we don't want people to know. We don't want our nearest and dearest to worry. We don't want to bother our nearest and dearests. So maybe we've got to start picking the people we just lower the mask down to. And as Hansel said, he hates that question. But he's one of your best friends in the world, isn't he? And
well, you know what the funny thing is, I think about it, and actually I've probably over the last 2-3 weeks asked him that about 50 times.
Yeah.
because again, it's your go-to.
Yeah.
But I'm lucky that I am really good friends with Steve, and he's opened up to me.
And I think, once again, I got my old pals, and if you phoned me up and said, like, oh, Kev, your legs fell off, how are you? I'd always start a throwaway, and I'd go, yeah, I'm not the best, because we've built up that loving relationship, that trust. But when it's just Tom, Dick, or Harry goes, oh, I heard about your leg falling off, haven't you? Then your natural reaction is to be polite and go, I'm all right, mate, I'm surviving. So you've got to know who to accept that as a brushaway comment, and who to go, you know what, champ, I'm actually that good.
Yeah. That's right. That's what we're gonna do. There we go. No, I know what you're saying, Kevin. It does. It makes complete sense.
But I think because I've said this on many of our podcasts, everything's a throwaway comment. Oh, if I take these glasses off, I'm blind. You're a bit fussy. You're long-sighted. You're short-sighted. Or, I'll tell you something. I've got a migraine. You've got a bit of an headache. But it's not taking anything away from blindness or migraines. Or I'll tell you something. I did a washing up twice a day. I've got OCD. No, you like your dishes clean. But because
sorry, going back to that, I mean, that was one of the best episodes actually with Steve when he explained OCD to me, because I thought it was that. I'll be honest. I thought, oh, fucking hell, Steve, you go around cleaning everything. You want to come round hours, you know what I mean? You want to do the car while you're here, kind of thing. But but again, that's why these conversations are important, because if you want to learn something, talk to real people who experience what's going on within their mind, within their life. Talk to those people, because that's real experience, that's lived experience, and you will learn something.
Well, you saying that, I mean, when Peter come on and talked about dementia, I learned so much on that hour than I've ever learned from dementia. Then we've had like Pat Lewis come on talk about his experience at Hillsborough, and how it's haunting, because I'd heard about it, and then living with them
again, though. So sort of like Pat Lewis coming on and talking about that, he put you there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Listening to his conversation, he put you as if you were that boy within that crowd going through that, what he was going through.
And then having Sky Stewart on talking about being transgender.
It's still painful, that one.
We learned so much though, and then having like false HIV results, but I learned so much about it. And this has really taught me about another one, gaming addictions. Someone like me, a dinosaur, I have no idea. I remember bloody Sonic the Hedgehog and Golden Axe. And when people are telling us about it, it's a world I'm not familiar with. And it's so easy being a bloke, going, oh, what a load of codswallop, you know what I do. And when you listen to the pain that some of these things can cause and how addictions can affect you and how it feels to be born into the wrong body. And I've learned so much. And hopefully, you know, you guys have been on the journey with us and you think, wow, this was an average day Joe who I could have been at work with or sat on the bus with or whatever. And I never knew these things happened. And when Debbie Slater from the Black Country Women's Aid come on, and she was giving us the statistics about abuse, stalking, slavery in the Black Country. You know, we were doing this virtually. I was going, unbelievable. Not this happening in the country, in the world, but this was happening in the Black Country.
Yeah, it's scary, actually, wasn't it, Kev?
Yeah.
As both of us bringing up daughters, to really realise what was going on around us. It's absolutely terrifying. And we're quite lived people, and we're out there. It's not like we're sheltered but that was, it's absolutely scary. And hopefully people have listened to that, and it's if anyone is doing any abusive behaviour, they've changed because of it. It's frightening.
Or if someone is being abused, that we've had at the end of the year on the show notes, there's so many helplines there, and these aren't ones. Some have been given to us, like language and therapy. Some from the Black Country Women's Aid. Some we've had Papyrus on talking about child suicide. We've had the Samaritans. So it's been brilliant having some of these experts on and from these great organisations and having these contacts. So it's not just you see it on the bus driving past you. It's great when you can talk to these people. And what I've found, like with the Samaritans, Papyrus, Black Country Women's Aid, it isn't just a phone call. It's an email. It's an app. It's a DM. It's all these things that I have no idea about. But for people, that they can write anonymously and they can get in touch so the perpetrator or the abuser can't find it. But I always just thought it was phone them. I hope he doesn't catch me, or I hope she doesn't catch me.
I think with the Samaritans especially, you thought it was a suicide hotline as well, didn't you? Where actually it's not. They cover anything to do with your mental health, don't they? You phone them up just for a chat, basically, and they'll help you. It's not just about I feel suicidal, I need to phone them. You can contact them way before that point.
Well, what interested me is Chris. I don't want to butcher the stats, but I'm just going to throw it out that it's don't.
So you're going to anyway.
But he was saying like 60 or 70%. You know what I mean? I haven't got on it, but weren't to do with suicide. It was, I'm having a wobble. I am I'm at my wit's end, and I'm amazed that we haven't got like a 112 or a 992. Because my wife worked on the ambulances for years, and she was saying the amount of phone calls you have for someone having a wobble. They're not quite at that point of suicide yet, but they have just, they're off the meds, they're poorly, they're having a breakdown, they're out of relapse. But then Joe Plum, who's been on here, and he was mentioning about Shout. And I'd love it with all the drama and the awareness that we have now got through lockdown and mental health for one day for this to be funded. But after how many years has the Samaritans been funded, they're still not getting funded. How the air ambulance in this country still aren't getting funded.
Not getting enough funding. I think is the key, that they have to fundraise is where the issue is. I'm presuming that they both actually do get funding, just not enough to cover everything. They have to fundraise as well.
Well, I really think if we could get early doors with this, and Donna O'Connell, I don't know if you're watching, one of my lifetime friends, and she wants to get it put in place where you phone up your GP and go, hello, receptionist, I'm having a wobble, I'm having panic attacks. And then NHS will say, well, bear with us, we'll be there in 8, 10, 12, 16 weeks. Then she wants it to put forward. So every receptionist in the borough will then go, Mr. Dillon, have you got a crisis number? That way, even if you don't phone it, you could phone up the crisis number. And just by phoning that extra person felt like you listened to, might stop. You might make you hold your footsteps and then go further with it. Because the NHS, God bless them, we've got good friends. Marcus Leonard, who's taught me so much about working in the mental health field. But if we could have that stopgap where we could just be phoning someone going, I'm having a wobble, and feel like I'm being listened to, hopefully that's once again moving in the right direction.
Maybe we can help with that. There's nothing stopping us doing a brochure and putting that in their face.
Yeah.
You know, here you go. If anyone phones, there you go.
Yeah.
One for you, Kev. Like a brochure. Can deliver it to all the doctors.
Don't tell me to clear off. I'm funny enough. Once upon a time, we were doing free sessions, and I'll come into the free sessions a bit because we're doing them again. But we had these posters. Ladies could train for free, men could train for free. I went to my doctors and I went, would you mind putting this up? Well, of course, we were doing £250. And I went, but we're offering it for free. We're on about obesity and mental health and And I went, yeah, it's brilliant what you're doing. £250, put it on the wall. And you're thinking, I'm trying to do our best. Like, we're doing free sessions once again up here because so many people have suffered through the pandemic, loneliness, losing jobs, working from home, social anxiety, putting weight on, and all these things. So the BCB with the Lions Boxing Club, my home, downstairs, we're doing every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for anyone to come and train. You know, the women can train with men, but men can't train in the women's class. And that's 10:30 to 11:30, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And ladies only, where the blokes can't come, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And then on the Friday, 11:30 to 12:30. Try and book in either on here on the Lions ABC, because we have got to still do COVID checks and everything. But what we're trying to do is get the mind working positive and the body working. And even if you just want to turn up, have a brew, sit down on the bike, whatever, get out the house, let's get positive.
Yeah, definitely. And it's free, it's free. Come and have a chat with Kev.
Yeah.
If you're struggling, come and have a chat with Kev. Come and hit the bag. It will do you good. Or don't hit the bag. You don't have to do boxing while you're here, do you, Kev? There's all kinds of training that goes on here. It's not just all related to boxing. Kev can certainly make you work out in many different ways.
Even if it's just running away from me. But
I should have done that.
Yeah, I've never found you. But we have different shapes and sizes. And when you come to these classes, don't think, oh my God, I'm overweight. He's going to have me sparring. It's nothing like that. It's just boxing. Amateur boxing got a very bad name because we associate it with the professionals and knocking the snot out of each other. How we run the club. That's another great one. Charlie Dalve, who come on, he's the head coach of Droitwich Boxing Club. And he was talking about how boxing and Parkinson's, and my granddad Bernard had Parkinson's, and I always remember him being very poorly. And medication and treatment has come on so far since then. But he's getting these people to do pad work and getting their short muscle fibers going and their hand-eye coordination, and the results he's doing is brilliant, and that's called Box Positive. So find him if you've got someone with Parkinson's or you're a carer of Parkinson's. Box Positive, because it's a brilliant organisation. But once again, we are trying to get more and more people involved, be it boxing clubs, be it martial arts, whatever it is. Let's stop that bollocks of it's all the Lions, it's all the Black Country Blokes. More we can make partnerships with Tough Enough to Care, Ripple, Dudley Mind, the Wolf Foundation. I know I'm forgetting people, but people we've worked with, more people we can help together, then we're helping more pots. Instead of just helping this one pot in Briley Hill, more pots we can dip our hands into and go, oh, I've got someone here from Sedgley, or I've got someone here from Wolverhampton or Handsworth, and the more we can help each other and not worry about taking the food off our plate. There's enough food on the table about stealing us from his plates. Let's help each other have a mighty good feast.
Yeah, that's right. I think we also need to start recognising as well, Kev, that it's not just about men at all, is it? There's so many women that now message us in and message us after saying how we'd help them understand. And it evolved from we thought it was just going to be all kind of all about men and that toughness. And to begin with, we didn't even have female guests on, did we? Because we thought, no, but actually, as it's evolved, we've realised the importance of the communication across the board. It is about men talking. It's about getting to men to talk more. But ultimately, us as men have got to talk more to the people close to us, and that tends to be your wife, your partner, your girlfriend, your mom, your sister. So yeah, it's an all-encompassing conversation now.
I mean, some of my favourite episodes, Anna Rockwell, how much I learned once again about speech and language, because you think speech and language, have I got a stammer? Have I got a lisp? And then you saying about communication through cards and blinking and what's it called, the sign language?
Macton is what the younger children tend to do, and then it goes to British Sign Language.
But it's, and Anna explained it when communication, the people who can speak and listen, we take that so for granted. But communication forms us. You know what I mean? And to be able to communicate, be it through blinking or typing or signing or whatever it is, that shows us what we're thinking, what we likes, what our dislikes. So I love that episode because once again, I learned so much. And Cherry Gillings, what a remarkable guest.
I think we need Sherry back on. It's,
100%.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, we had her on the first lockdown, and we had her in the studio in between lockdown.
Yeah.
But when she talks about addiction and her poetry is so remarkable. But one of my favourite people, I met her on the mental health first aid course with Ian Hines and Mental Health First. And once again, we've had those guys on talking about suicide and things to pick up on. But we've had so many great people, men, women, old, young, professionals, scallywags, and it's what we've all said here. We are not experts. Me and Lee, Craig and Aaron aren't experts. We're experienced. So sometimes it's great to have like-minded souls who are experienced. And sometimes it is great to have a professional like Alexander Walker, Nick Davis, Peter. What's Peter's last name? Gavacol. And we've had these people on, and you go, Anna Rockwell, speech language, and you go, wow. And you just listen back. And once again, against communication, it's no good using massive words if the person can't understand them. The true great teacher uses relatable language. They say something, and you go, bloody hell, I understand you now. So I've had a donut here for 6 years trying to explain the massive words and I haven't understood a word he said. But if you can explain it on a level they understand, then that person will learn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think Pete Gathercole did that excellently, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, he was very standout. And Dr. Singh.
Dr. Singh, bloody hell, how
could you forget him, Kev?
Yeah.
Absolute fantastic episode. Still probably one of my favourites.
Yeah. And what a dude, I mean, he's been out in the ICU. He's an eye surgeon by trade, but he's had to go in the ICU. And the stories in the first lockdown, and we will get Doc back on. I met him through doing boxing shows. He comes and does the shows, God bless him. And what a remarkable man.
Yeah. And not forget it. I'll tell you what, actually, Alex Brooker, who can forget him? Before Alex Brooker came on, absolutely fantastic episode again. But I went back and watched his documentary, which escapes my mind now what it's actually called. But it is about his. I think it might be My Disability and Me or something along that lines, which I'd recommend everyone to go and watch. But in that documentary, he realises the importance of opening up and talking. And absolutely fascinating when he came on the podcast, and such a nice person. Definitely, wasn't he, Kev?
Considering he's our first proper celebrity from the last leg, Channel 4, and you're thinking, oh, to God, he ain't. I hope he is a real person. He come on, and he's one of the lads, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Telling the stories, and he was saying, and he was very small about the last leg. It was about living with disabilities, mental health, how we got into the Commonwealth, how we got into reports on the Commonwealth Games, and what the brilliant work Channel 4 has done for the Commonwealth Games. And what a dude. And he is as nice in real life as he is on the telly.
Some of the stories just telling us off air that we can't repeat as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're howling, weren't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely cracking. Really, really nice bloke. And hopefully we get him on again, because he wanted to come down and see the club. And hopefully, once more of the madness has blown over, we'll have him back on, because he's an absolutely fascinating person to talk to. And he's got such a brilliant. He reminds me a lot of Kev, actually. Even though he's had this disability all his life, it definitely hasn't stopped him doing anything. Definitely hasn't held him back, and has such a positive mindset through it all. Very inspirational
and very funny. And it was a pinch of salt,
That don't
wasn't
mind
he?
you.
No, I ain't got to go. I ain't got to give to the gab, otherwise I'd be on Channel 5.
They wouldn't have you on 4, would they, mate?
No,
You
no,
might
no.
make 5.
Yeah. What's it? BBC 5 or whatever it is. But as I say, we've been so blessed. I mean, the journey we've gone on from basically having counselling, having a rattle, to learning. And I've found it myself, and I bump into people, and they go, bloody hell, Kev, you can always talk, but now you're very
Maybe can't get away from you.
you're very open to everything. And I think because you've become open, and we've become open as a group, those people who probably would just walk past me in the pub or how are you, now will sit down and go, you know, Kev, I've been listening to you on the podcast, and I have depression, I have anxiety, I have a disability, my mom, my daughter, and it's just that person you can go, thank you. And sometimes it's for 10 minutes, sometimes it's for 5 hours, but it's that, thank you, I've got that off my chest.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Sorry, I'm just changing the banner at the bottom there, Kev. So everyone knows we've got Buy Me a Coffee. If anyone wants to go out there, buy us a coffee and help us do the work that we're doing.
We've had some great people already donate, and that money will go into our overheads like internet and putting the groups on and all these little things, that, as we all know, nothing's free. But we put our time in for nothing, and we ain't taking a purse off it. We're just trying to keep it afloat.
Yeah, I hopefully do bigger and better things that help more people.
And very soon, I know I keep saying it, but don't worry, it is getting closer. We've got some big news coming out very soon. So
a few bits of big news.
Well, yeah, a few big things. So for the next couple of weeks, we're almost in May now. So we are going to have some great news coming up. Several great pieces of news. So just stick with us. That's been 101 episodes, this one. Have you had any more comments or?
I'll put them up, mate. Put them up as they come along. We're all good.
Well, and by the way, if you're listening to this on our podcast, we're doing a support group every Wednesday. Do you want to put the poster up, bruv, and just read it out to all our?
There we go. So yeah, we've got our support group every Wednesday at the Lions Boxing Club, Bull Street, Brightly Hill. That's DY53RA, and that's 7 p.m. till 9 p.m. So it's a men's support group, and it's very relaxed, very easygoing support group. It's just fun. And we've also started last week, actually, the boxing element come in. So now we do the first half an hour upstairs, then we go downstairs.
If you want to.
There's always someone upstairs to talk to. There's either me or Kevin will stay upstairs if anyone wants to chat. And it's not fuss for doing the exercise, basically.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are going to benefit from doing a bit of talking, going downstairs, hitting the crap out of a bag or the pads, and then coming back upstairs and continuing the conversation. Free tea and coffee as well. What more do you want?
I always think like with this, like with the boxing element, you walk in and go, "How you doing, Kev? Ah, my wife's doing me head in." You hit the bags while you get some of that going, and you go, "You know what? It ain't Kate. I'm just a bit stressed." So let's get everything working together: the mind, the body. Oh, and thank you once again to the Express and Star. We had a wicked write-up today. So check it out, buy the paper. Once we get the link, we'll be sharing it.
So I can also add, if you want to come to the support group, just drop us an email on blackcountryblokes@gmail.com. We do have to abide by COVID safety. So we have to book you in coming up. But don't worry if you do book in and don't make it, don't worry about it at all. And can't make it, don't worry about it at all. It's easygoing group, and we won't hold it against you if you don't find the courage of that day to come in.
It does take courage, to walk in. If it's just to an office boy and you're walking into a boxing gym, your legs are trembling, but once you get here, we're all walks of life here, and we're here to help each other. I'd hate for anyone to leave the group worse than when they came. And we've had some deep conversations, and it's been great how everyone's just chipped in and helped one another.
That's it. And you usually find an answer within that room, don't you, to any issues you're finding. There's usually someone who's had a similar experience who can at least give you a bit of advice, and it's real advice because they've lived that experience.
Well, if anyone has got the time and you're listening to us on Apple Music, please give us a review, 5-star, and leave a comment because that'll help us to boost up. As always, please share this with your loved ones and anyone it may help. So, bruv, I think I'll do us today.
Yeah. Just one note: if you like the look of our t-shirts, hoodies, hats,
Masks.
snap caps, you can find them all on our website, and that's www.blackcountryblokes.co.uk. And again, the profit we make out of these goes back into helping other people. We don't take a wage. It's nothing like that. It all goes back into overheads and helping people. So help us help other people.
So, got a quote?
No, of course not. That's your job. We need more guests on so we can to get them to the quotes.
Even the darkest cave can be lit with the smallest of candles. And that can be that conversation, that love. So always remember, even the darkest cave can be lit, even ever so slightly, by the smallest of candles. So until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.